What have you heard out of there?
Yeah, look,
do we think that things are going in the right direction?
They feel good about it, right? I mean, like that, obviously Sirianni, it's been public in terms of some of the issues that went on there last year. So, he's had to learn from that and ideally gets better. I think that you made an interesting point, Jeff, about the player leadership. Jason Kelsey was there forever in the middle of the offensive line. Fletcher Cox was there forever in the middle of the defensive line. Both those guys are gone, so someone else has to step into those roles. So obviously Jalen Hurts is an opportunity for him to elevate in that regard as well. So, yeah, I just, to me, like, I don't think the Eagles looking good answers any questions. Right. I think what we need to know about the Eagles is how they respond if they look bad, right? How they respond to adversity. They didn't have any 2 years ago. Last year, once it set in, they fell apart completely. Right. So to me, I feel like we need to see the Eagles get through a season, deal with some negatives, and bounce back from them in order to answer the questions that we have about them from.
Okay. I 100%, 1,000% disagree with that. Yeah, you want to be able to show that you can come through adversity, but the Eagles face adversity from day one. The Eagles never looked sharp, and they never felt sharp, and they knew that. That is adversity. Yeah, they were able to win, but they were facing adversity. They were facing adversity on the sidelines, in the locker room, during the game. Jalen Hurts being injured and banged up, having bad coordinators. That's all adversity. And yet they were still able to get into the playoffs. They were still able to start the season 10-1. So no, it's not that they just finally hit adversity when they played the 49ers and then fell apart. That's what it's implied right there, and that's bogus. I disagree with that wholeheartedly. Yeah, they did not end the season well. Undeniable. But it's not because they faced adversity and then they just fell apart. It was just that they weren't good enough. They weren't able to get away with what they were earlier on in the season. But the sheer fact that they were able to still fight tooth and nail and get into the playoffs is pretty remarkable. That shows you how good that team just was. That they could lose all those games and still make the playoffs. That didn't happen for the Jacksonville Jaguars and Trevor Lawrence. So, yeah, I disagree. This whole idea that it was adversity that proved to be too much for the Eagles. That's the wrong assessment. The Eagles had fundamental issues to their team. Mainly the coaches, which we have talked at length. And we are just a couple days away from no longer having to talk about it. We are literally just 2 days away from no longer having to talk about what happened in 2023 because it will only matter 2024. And my God, it can't come soon enough. But I just reject this idea that it was a cultural issue and an adversity issue, that they faced no adversity in 22, because that's also not true. Of course they did. Jalen Hurts went down. Like, what are you talking about? Jalen Hurts literally went down and missed games. And then he had to come back probably a little early to win that game to solidify their spot, their seating, which was a big deal. And they overcame that and won. So get out of here. I wholeheartedly disagree. So 23, we can turn the page. We don't have to talk about 23 anymore. We really don't. I will probably be forced to talk about it a couple more times in videos, I assume, for like First Things First, the Herd, because they are playing on Friday, and so the Eagles are probably going to be getting a lot of extra media attention leading into this, since it's an individual game. Right? They're the only game in town on Friday, so they're going to get a lot of extra attention for sure. So, and they're still going to have to keep comparing. Well, why is this different from last year to this year? I really don't want to just keep making the same video again and again and again. But so that's why I'm kind of happy that I came across this one, because this was definitely like a slightly different twist, a slightly different angle on it. It was adversity, and when they faced adversity, they fell apart. That is not what happened at all. Every game they faced adversity, and they found a way to win. They just did. Yeah, they could have lost those games. Absolutely. But they still found a way to win, and winning is hard in the NFL. And the fact that they were able to do that with bad coaches, injured players, injured quarterback, a questionable head coach. That means a lot. That shows that that culture is there. And this whole idea that they lost leaders in the locker room, absolutely. But to think that the Eagles have not been planning for that, or to think that Jalen Hurts can't step up as a leader and a unifier in that locker room, my God, I don't know where they keep coming up with this nonsense, but it's just that. It's nonsense. The Eagles are going to be great. I really do believe that. They absolutely lost some iconic faces in that locker room, but it's something that did not catch them off guard. They knew it was coming, and the Eagles are very smart in preparing for that. So they are not going to skip a beat. And make no mistake about it, they still got the legendary GOATs in that locker room. They still got Brandon Graham. They still got Lane. That alone matters tremendously. And they have Jalen Hurts. Just those three guys alone are ready to step up and be there. Not to mention the other guys were already there. They won the Super Bowl. They're already the leaders and the culture setters of that team. It wasn't just Kelsey and Cox. Like, it's funny that they just want to put it all on them and like no one else. Come on. That's just nonsense. But those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think? Like, I'm really curious at this point. Like, what do you think the fundamental issue was for the Philadelphia Eagles last year? And do you think they fixed it? Do you think it was more just roster? Do you think like the team was just not good enough? Do you think it was the coaching? Do you think it was a cultural issue? Do you think it was like what kind of Chris Broussard kept talking about, like a supernatural funk, that there was actually no real fundamental issue? It just happened. Things just unraveled, and it was just hard to kind of come back from. I would absolutely love to hear your thoughts. Let me know in the comments below. This is just a conversation that just won't go away. It just won't. And like I said, I believe we are a couple days away from it finally going away. And, definitely officially starting Saturday, because the game's on Friday. I guess maybe Friday night is when it'll officially be over. So that can't come soon enough, so we can finally get more interesting things to talk about rather than just keep rehashing 2023 again and again and again. But those are just my thoughts. Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.